This is a certified hood classic.
All right, man, so we're switching up, man. We're doing something different today, man. We're going to actually be doing the darkest King of the Hill moments, bro. I don't know. I really like King of the Hill. I really do, bro. So I'm like, man, we have to check this out immediately, bro.
King of the Hill has given us a lot of heartwarming and memorable episodes, but the show has also given us more than a few stories that got surprisingly dark. But which of these situations that occurred in Arlen, Texas were truly the most unsettling or disturbing? That's what we're looking at today. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and these are the darkest King of the Hill moments.
He wanted that booty.
For this list, we'll be covering episodes with content that was
any nigga that lay across the couch just like that, his wife left him, bro. I trust
darker than the average King of the Hill episode. While the series does cover a lot of real-world struggles and can occasionally steer into dark or frightening territory, there are 10 times that we felt made the most lasting impression, and in some cases, were just downright dark. First up on our list is Halloween. This was another early story in the series. Halloween is typically seen as a time of mischief and fun, but in this,
I don't know, bro. It's always been, I guess mischief and fun, but it's kind of a dark time, bro. You know what I'm saying? Demons and ghouls and all that stuff running around. I know it's not real. I'm just saying the ideals, the ideology, Hello? What? What are you talking about? What are you even listening to me for?
Special.
The ideas around it are dark. That's what I'm
The Hills came face to face with another type of ghoul. This one came in the form of Junie Harper, a radical believer that condemned anything she considered to be against the Bible. Now, having beliefs is perfectly fine, but Junie was a horrible example of it. The woman was irrational, always blowing things up out of proportion. She tried outlawing Halloween, tried coercing a bunch of children into joining something called the Hallelujah Club by using fear tactics, and got Luann to join her by using the same methods a cult would use to condition someone. Junie was a fairly delusional and obsessed woman. She blamed the death of her cat on Satanists to prove her arguments, disregarding the fact that she clearly ran.
That's nasty, bro. Okay, your cat died, that's sad. My cat died. But golly, bro, you're gonna keep its remains in a cooler, bro? That's disgusting.
Over the animal while hunting down Bobby and Hank. She called Peggy and Hank terrible parents for letting their son act like a normal kid. She hired a bunch of men to help influence kids to join her club. She even set up weird skits that taught children the wrong information about evolution and sex to make them frightened enough to believe her ideology.
Do not encourage this monster. This is vile.
Without a doubt, people like Junie are dangerous. When you allow yourself to believe anything, you put yourself in a position of being able to be manipulated like Luann was shown to be throughout the episode. That might not seem as scary as some other Halloween specials, but it's a message to take into consideration. Next up, we have Mrs. Wakefield. This was one of those episodes that was different levels of disturbing all throughout it, and is not what you would expect from a Christmas episode of an animated show. While making preparations for Christmas and the Eve party, the Hills meet an old woman by the name of Mrs. Wakefield, who—
Hell no, you cannot allow anybody to be in your house, bro. You remember that old lady off of that one movie, bro, with that scary movie and stuff where she came back and she was trying to that girl, and then after that, even after she got, you know what I'm saying, she threw up on her and stuff. Y'all remember that? Y'all know what that, bro? What is that movie, bro? Drop that down. It sounds like some Hills Have Eyes.
Who tells them about her time growing up and residing in the house before they moved in. It sounds sweet enough, but it soon becomes darker as she recounts how her sister died, describing how she dragged herself from what was now Bobby's room to a spot down the hall. Once the Hills are ready to have her out of their home, Mrs. Wakefield reveals her true intentions: to die in the house she grew up in.
I want to die here.
The rest of the episode shows Mrs. Wakefield trying various methods to get into the home so she can die in the house. She tries forcing her way in by using her walker. She taps on all the windows, urging Bobby to let her in by offering him candy. She tries locking herself in the bathroom.
Oh, she was throwing it back on Hank, boy.
She hides from the family in the hedges to sneak inside. It even gets to the point that she fakes her death by submitting a false obituary to get the family's guard down. We had to include this episode for a few reasons. The first is the clear discussion of death all throughout. Mrs. Wakefield makes more than a few comments about simply slipping away if she held her breath long enough. On top of that, Dale gets the idea to try and turn his house into a haunted bed and breakfast, and is seen trying to convince Mrs. Wakefield to die in his home instead of Hank's.
This dude is a fucking freak, boy. Why would you try to do that, bro? This dude, Dale, is so damn weird, bro. That's why his wife be stepping out on him, bro, because he be weird as hell, bro. I'm not saying that ain't right, but I'm just saying that is weird as hell, bro. You need to stop it,
Tries
bro.
to offer a dog to keep her company in the afterlife.
I could get you a dead little lap dog to keep you company.
The second reason we added it is because of the lengths the old woman goes to accomplish her goal. Frail senior citizen or not, she flat out harassed the family and even terrified Bobby. She had to have the police called on her and played the role of a victim when the officers appeared, meekly asking what she did wrong. It was a relief that she was able to finally reach some compromise with the Hill family, but it was a stressful time right up until the very end. Next up is King of the Anthill. One of the earliest episodes of the series, it took a very drastic turn. It begins, simply enough, with Hank looking to improve his lawn before a block party. The dilemma of figuring out why his grass is looking worse than Con's leads Hank to the conclusion that Dale's bug spraying is a factor, and so he fires him. Dale, infamously vindictive, decides to get back at Hank by sneaking fire ants onto his brand new lawn. It may not sound like the setup of a dark story, but that all changes when Bobby and Joseph decide to play with the ants and Bobby brings a queen inside. In typical Bobby fashion, he tries as hard as he can to smell the pheromones coming off the queen that Joseph had told him about, and the result is disturbing. While Hank is trying to deal with getting rid of the ants and trying to revive his lawn, Bobby is seen becoming almost mindless. We even get a scene where he crams a bunch of sugar in his mouth before we see him dropping from his mouth into the bowl where he is keeping the queen and other ants. That dead-eyed stare he gives as he addresses the ant as "my queen" is something that sticks with a viewer in the worst kind of way.
Yes, my queen.
Oh no, boy, you're gone. You're long gone. Long stitches on the head. That boy got stitches holding his hair down.
The end of the episode ties in both stories when Bobby, after trying to free his ants, is attacked by a whole colony. We then see a terrified Bobby, looking more like a mass of fire ants, slowly moving towards his father for help. Luckily, Dale is there to save the day, latching onto Bobby so the ants crawl onto him, and for a brief moment, we are unsure whether Dale is still alive. A hell of a ride for a first season episode. Next on the list is Pretty Dresses. Bill is already established as one of the most depressed members of the show. He's always seen
pretty weak, frail, depressed, just kind of sad, but he does have his moments, bro. He does have his moments. And, you know, it's like, you know, characters like that, I always just wanted to get it together. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted them to just get it together. Does that make sense, bro? I swear, I just be looking at them like, man, just get it together, man. You know what I'm saying?
Stating that it was his divorce that made him lose his confidence and self-worth.
Well,
the episode begins on a pretty somber note, with Bill bursting into tears as they drink in the alley. And it doesn't get easier from there. We learn that Bill spent the holiday season having dinner with Hank and his family, and that Peggy, Bobby, and Luann were not very impressed with the decision. We see that Bill has a habit of making Bobby's ex-girlfriend Marie.
You ever think about that dead boyfriend of yours?
It forces Hank to have to choose between inviting Bill to dinner again or following his family's wishes. When Hank tells Bill that he wants a family dinner without him present, Bill ends up not taking it too well and decides to jump off of his own roof in an attempt to end his own life. What follows is seeing Hank, Dale, and Boomhauer attempting to juggle watching Bill to be sure the man makes no more attempts on his life. But this episode didn't make our list just because of its talk about depression. We see Hank, the man who normally has all the answers to everyone's problems, in unfamiliar territory. He tries getting through to Bill in a way that makes sense to him, but since Hank had no real understanding of depression, he was little help and unknowingly pushed his friend closer to the edge.
I don't feel anything.
After Bill begins dressing up, pretending to be Lenore, and crashes the Hill's Christmas party, Hank is finally able to figure out a way to give Bill closure, learning that Bill had to confront Lenore on his own after being deserted. We mentioned this episode when covering our list for Bill, and we have to admit that while it's hard to watch Bill spiral, it is an episode where he eventually shines through. The episode didn't end with Bill
Oh my God! All right now, bro, you just looking like little Mary Poppins.
magically getting over all of his problems. We know by the time the credits roll that he's still going to be in pain over his divorce. He's still going to be bitter about how Lenore left him. But that's what makes it such an important message and such a great episode. Next up, we have
Hey, bro, because understand, bro, love and pain, love, happiness, and pain are all linked together, bro. You got to understand that, bro. If you ever going through a breakup, if you ever going through something, bro, understand that pain is inevitable, bro. If you are attached to a person and they break away that attachment, or you break away, it's something similar to addiction. You're addicted to that person, bro. You got to let time take over, bro. You have to start finding other things that you like to do, loving yourself, bro. And sometimes, bro, you have to accept the fact that those answers that you seek might never come, bro. But you have to keep on pushing for yourself, my boys. I'm telling you. Not even my boys, my girls too. Y'all go through shit. Girls, y'all take a lot, but y'all can handle a lot. Y'all can handle a lot more emotionally than men. Like, shit,
Propane Boom Part 2. In the
saying that
previous listing, we
saying,
mentioned how we're not used to seeing Hank not be the man.
Well, maybe not that y'all handle it more, but y'all can process it a lot better. At least a lot faster.
With all the answers. There's something about seeing someone who has a lot of control over their life be at the mercy of a very normal problem. At the start of the story, Hank has to face losing the job he loved at the hands of Megalomart after the superstore gets a propane department. Not only did the corporation kill off Strickland Propane and countless other privately owned stores, but they did it in a way that didn't even come close to meeting the bare minimum of safety and quality standards. Even after being scolded by Hank to not drag propane tanks by their valves, Buckley still did, being too lazy to lift them properly.
Trainees, you know how it is.
A mistake that cost him his life when the tanks began leaking and the Megalomart exploded. We're giving special attention to the second part of the story because after the explosion, Hank is in a complete denial about being traumatized by the event. He refuses to barbecue or return to the now open Strickland Propane, now afraid of working with propane at all. Of course, Hank isn't the only one struggling after the incident, as we see a formerly bubbly Luann start to reject anything remotely beautiful or optimistic, and a worried Bobby who clearly doesn't understand why his father isn't doing so well. There's also Khan, who is seen throughout the episode expressing that he saw Buckley as a sort of son after getting to know him, enjoying how much Buckley being around annoyed Hank. While Khan is often seen to just make jokes or vindictive comments in episodes, he was a large part of this plot. Khan speaks at Buckley's funeral.
Oh my God, why is that Chief Redhorn there, bro?
Telling the story of a man on the verge of death who took the time to enjoy a strawberry before being devoured by tigers. While the story was brushed off as a bad joke by Hank, it gave the important message of being able to enjoy life even when facing death. A message Hank didn't see until he was trying to comfort Bobby.
You need to relax and enjoy life.
Khan also helps to
I like that, bro. Bro, I feel like I'm learning something here, bro. Like, I feel like I'm really learning something, bro. He just said you need to relax, enjoy life. That's why I love these cartoons, bro. People that don't watch cartoons, but they missing out, bro. People that don't understand, because I'm telling you, bro, it be a lot of messages in these cartoons, bro. Some of them be fucked up. Some of them be a little weird. But a lot of them just be very, very, very good, positive messages. Depends on how you interpret them. And thank God that we have YouTubers, bro, that sit and analyze stuff like this, like WikiMensch, that sit and analyze it for us. So what we may not be able to process ourselves, they're able to process for us. And I feel grateful to have people like
Luann to start grieving, demanding to know why she was suppressing her sorrow with pointless anger, leading to Luann reflecting on the loss in a healthy way. Moving on, we have another manic Con day. Speaking of times where Con really
that's
shines,
new-looking.
this next listing is far more focused on the Laotian man. After Min leaves with Connie to visit family, Peggy asks Hank to check in on Con for Min, with his wife claiming that Con hadn't been left alone in years. While things start off well enough, with Con and Hank taking on a project together for Grill Stravaganza, we learn that Con was on medication that evened him out. When Hank tells Con not to worry about filling the prescription, it leads to Con soon spiraling into a series of highs and lows, as we learn that he suffers from manic depression.
Sadness
Wow.
covers me like a blanket.
As we saw when Hank was dealing with Bill's breakdown, Hank is not the best person to help in times of depression since he doesn't fully understand how it works. After he gets the pills from Mexico with the help of Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer, Hank is reluctant to give them to Con, not wanting him to lose motivation for building the grill, justifying that Con is plenty happy and wasn't hurting anyone. What's more, Hank showed he didn't understand how the medication really helped. He initially thought Con would need to take all of the pills at once to get back on track, and when Con did take the proper dosage, Hank assumed they would work right away. The episode was another great example of how depression can affect a person, and how little it's really understood because of so many years of stigma. Con, going from laying on the couch to suddenly having way too much energy, left Hank and Boomhauer scratching their heads, while Dale and Bill were able to point out what Con was suffering from. In fact, Dale was the one to inform Hank what even someone out meant when it came to pills.
Wow. See, Dale, I think Dale really does suffer from depression. I think he goes through a lot of it, bro. Just know. I think he knows that. Well, I mean, how could you not know? But I think he knows that his wife is cheating and that his kids aren't his. And that's tough. That's a tough one. I wonder if they're gonna put that. I mean, even though that's, I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna put that in here, even though that's not like an episode where he, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there was an episode where he finds out, quote, quote, but that was pretty dark.
And
too.
Bill was the one to hide anything
sad.
remotely dangerous from Con, making the comment that people forget about the drawstring.
I'll confiscate his shoelaces and the drawstring from his pants.
Moving on, we have the
Damn.
episode High Anxiety. Being centered around the murder of Debbie Grund, this story held back no punches. Like the propane boom, this was a two-part episode. It started with Buck undergoing divorce from his wife, Miss Liz, who had found out about Debbie and Buck's relationship. Losing his house, his company, and much of his money, Buck is forced to reside with Debbie while she is left to deal with Miss Liz's wrath at Strickland Propane. Hank then gains a lot of unwanted advances from Miss Liz and Debbie, finding himself being blackmailed by Debbie to have an affair and leading Hank to be in her apartment when everything begins to go wrong.
She
I'm
got a
going
nice
on a
ass.
trip. I look like I'm doped out of my gourd.
Debbie's body is discovered in the Sugarfoot's dumpster by Peggy, leading to an investigation that placed Hank as a suspect. As if that wasn't bad enough, even Buck tried using Hank as a scapegoat, planting false evidence in Hank's truck and recording an out-of-context conversation. The episode was made even more suspenseful when even Hank himself was unsure of his innocence. His last memory being that he mistakenly smoked pot with Gail, thinking it was just a homemade cigarette. In the end, we do find out that Debbie had unintentionally ended her own life when carelessly handling Buck's gun as she crawled into the dumpster. But the story is very well received among fans.
Sorry about that whole frame up there, Tano. I was under a lot of stress.
Taking the bronze
Man, fuck you.
medal is Lupe's Revenge. We all know Peggy likes to be seen as an educator that knows everything about Mexican culture, but this was a time where her pride really didn't do her any favors. After being asked to chaperone a field trip into Mexico, Peggy makes a series of mistakes. She misdirects the bus from the museum, takes the children to a butcher when she thinks it's a petting zoo, and tries to cover up her lies by playing off a chicken being killed as a magic trick. But the thing that took the cake was when she mistakenly forced a young girl to join the students back home, not realizing until it was too late that she had kidnapped a small child.
Long live Mexico. Now where are your parents?
The rest of the episode is Peggy hiding the young girl away in her office before attempting to sneak her back into Mexico. with Peggy quickly arrested afterwards.
Of course, like, what are you doing?
We had to include this in our video discussing Peggy's worst deeds, and it truly is one of the worst things that she has ever done. And to top it off, Peggy didn't seem to receive much of a punishment for her actions. Sure, she was threatened with jail time, but she was let off after it was clear that she was terrible at speaking Spanish, showing that she couldn't have communicated with Lupe enough to really threaten her.
I'm going to jail!
He said you're not guilty.
But the whole ordeal had to be on this list, since this was no doubt a traumatic experience for Lupe. Being dragged onto a bus just because she was trying to sell goods to help her family. Being taken into a strange home and forced to hide away in a small room, unable to communicate with anyone around her to ask for help, and being uncertain as to what fate awaited her. Our second darkest...
I didn't even think about it like that, because I think the whole episode you were focused on Peggy. But right, the kid, like, what about the kid?
Episode of
bro?
King of the Hill is fun with Jane and Jane. We mentioned cult-like tactics and mentality in a previous listing, but we couldn't have a darkest of King of the Hill list without mentioning
the tight red ass.
The Janes. It begins innocently enough with Luann trying to find some friends on campus by joining a sorority. After being mocked by some of the more popular houses, she is led to the Omega House where things begin to quickly go downhill. The leader of this group wastes no time trying to get young girls to join them. The new residents of the house undergo sleep deprivation, borderline starvation, and brainwashing.
But you can trust us. We will tell you when you're hungry.
All of their names are taken from them, and any unwelcome behavior is met with being locked in a dark closet while being yelled at. Peggy, not realizing what the group really is, simply takes Luann back to the Omega House where they both are renamed Jane, and almost taken off to a farm for free labor to make jams and jellies. While it might sound like a ridiculous plotline, this is actually
she's
a very real concern for people. Not everyone out there has your best interests at heart. Even those that want to do harm to you or use you for their gain will often play it off that they are the best option for you and that you really have no one else. It's a cautionary tale that is valuable to everyone. And finally, taking first place, we have Pygmalion. After Luann loses her job thanks to her Aunt Peggy's meddling, she starts to become close with Trip Larson. Luann isn't known for making the best judgment calls with many of her relationships, and this one was no exception. After Luann got into an argument with Peggy over dating Trip, she finds herself now living in Trip's home with him, where she quickly learns that he isn't as stable as he came off as. Trip then begins changing Luann's appearance by taking over her wardrobe and dyeing her hair while she sleeps.
I took the liberty of dyeing it while you were asleep these last 14 hours.
Trip's intentions are revealed when, during their Halloween party, he informs Luann that he wanted her to take the role of Larson's pork product girl. The idea of marrying a man she had never met to help Trip's delusions, and seeing the man imitate a pig to resemble the old ad, sends her running. What follows is a terrifying scene where Luann is being chased in
I remember this, bro. This was weird.
A slaughterhouse, a manic Trip Larson laughing about how they could be pork products together. What makes this even more tragic is in his final moments. Trip is shocked and brought back to reality for a brief moment, questioning where he is and why he's in a pig suit before losing his life.
Trip had a mental breakdown and is now a sausage.
The episode was actually banned for some time, so it makes sense that it ranks as number one on our darkest moments list.
That is the darkest
But what do you think are the darkest King of the Hill moments? Let us know in the comment section below.
I'll do y'all one better, bro. I'm telling y'all, bro. I think that one of the I'm not saying the darkest, but I'm saying one of the darkest moments was with Bill, with Bill. You know what I'm saying? Is it Bill? Yes, Bill, bro. Like, I think that's one of the darkest moments, but I don't know. Y'all tell me, bro. Go down below and let me know, bro. What do y'all think, bro? What do y'all think, bro? Let me know your true feelings about that. Or maybe you agree with something on this list, bro. But yeah, man, I think, Bill's wife doing all that stuff to him, that was pretty dark, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.